Welcome back to Kevin's Trooper channel. This is part 3 of the custom rock slider series. And yeah, I think I've made a mistake. And that mistake is not making the rock sliders sturdy enough onto the Trooper so that I can put a high lift jack on them and jack the side of this thing up if I need to. Now, why would that be important? Well, we don't have rocks. I'm in South Louisiana. We have mud. If these rock sliders are ever going to get used, it's probably going to be to jack things up, to put something under the wheel to get out of mud. Now, how can we fix this? That was the next question. What I've decided to do is to firm up the tubing coming off of the rectangle slider with some gussets going down both sides. And then as it goes onto the frame, I think I'm going to do the same thing. And I was looking underneath, and if you guys will come over here and let me show you this one. So let me show you guys what I'm thinking here. So the rock slider is gonna go up like that, all the way up. I can't do it with one hand, but it'll be up like this. Now, the thing about this is I can put a little diagonal piece in right here to strengthen this up. But the problem with this front part is I thought, well, I'll just put some extra tubes. There's really nowhere. Here's my front tube here. There's really nowhere else to put a tube all the way up till I get to the middle piece. So I thought I would just put a few extra tubes in it, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to anywhere. What's gonna keep me from just smashing this all the way up against the body when I weld it? Wouldn't that be better? And so that's gonna give this some support, and it's gonna spread out the force if I ever have to push up on this. I don't think it's gonna dent this if this is stuck all the way up against the body like this whenever I weld it. I think that might be the best thing to do. And so that way, if I do have to put a jack on this and jack it up, it'll be distributed along this whole body panel here. Now, granted, I have the attachment points to jack from the wheel that I can put the high lift jack straight onto the wheel and jack it up from there. So I could probably work my way around it, but I'm right here. They're not finished yet. It's a couple of extra welds. I'm gonna make these things as strong as I possibly can and then finish them out and weld them onto the Trooper. I've been looking at my one that I have on the table here, and I was thinking about making some triangle, I guess you would call them gussets, and weld them right in here like this, so it would look something like that. And I'm thinking that if I do that and push them all the way up against the body whenever I weld them, so there's no space, so that if I go to jack that up, all it has to do is push slightly against the body, and it's welded really good, I think I'll be able to jack it up from this and it won't hurt a thing. So that's the plan. Make them stronger, make them bulletproof, because right now I'm not just 100% secure with how good they're gonna be on there. We've got a good solid attachment in the middle, but I'm just not real secure with these two tubes on the ends. I don't think they're gonna be on there good enough that I can jack it up on one end or another. Pretty sure I could jack it up from the middle, but I may have to put a jack on one end or the other for whatever reason at some point. And I'm right here, I might as well do it. So that's my plan for today, is to secure these up a little bit, weld them up as strong as I possibly can, and then finish them up and weld them on. So let's get started. I'm thinking I'm gonna take this here and one on each side of this, and this one will go here, and then on this end it curves pretty quickly, so I had to do a little bit of a smaller one. It's gonna fit like, get my glove out of the way if I can, like that. I've got a quick tip for you guys, and that is these Milwaukee Inks All. These things are amazing. It writes on dusty, wet, or oily surfaces. I've been using a Sharpie, and sometimes a Sharpie doesn't write very well. In the end, gets all smashed and stops writing, and it really messes up quickly. These things are amazing. All right, I wanted to give you guys a quick update on where I'm at. I've got one of them all strengthened up. Let me show you what it looks like. I'm laying down some pretty decent beads today, guys. Look at that. Pretty proud of that one. Yeah, so I put a little gusset in there. And then I got my 2 gussets here. Again, guys, check it out. Pretty nice beads today. Laying them in there. And then I got this one on the end. All right, I haven't cleaned that one up yet, but it's coming together. Now, I think that is way stronger than what I had this morning. I think we've solved this problem. Now, the other thing that I'm thinking I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press that rock slider all the way up against the seam of the body so that there's no give there. I was gonna leave it down about a 1/2 inch, but then if I do put a jack under it, it's gonna have that little bit of flex to it. I think if I lay it right up against the body, that body seam at the bottom, if I do need to jack it up, it'll give it that extra support that it needs. It's gonna distribute the jack's weight. I don't think it's gonna bend at all. I think that's the best way to go. So as of right now, that's what I'm gonna do, but I still have to clean these up, get them painted, then I can always decide at the very end. I'm really excited about the way they're looking now, guys. Check this out. Let me show you what we got. I've got it all sanded up. Look how awesome that weld looks right there. And I've got all of the rust sanded off of them. Got them grinded down. I got one more to do, and I'm hoping I can get it finished tonight. And then in the morning, I'm gonna hand sand them a little bit and start putting my acid etch primer, and hopefully we'll be ready to mount these things to the car tomorrow afternoon. So I'm gonna sand this one down and call it a night. I'm gonna see you guys in the morning. Good morning, we're back at it again. It's about 7 o'clock Saturday morning. Well, as you guys saw, they're looking pretty stout now. I think that those gusset pieces we put in yesterday really made a huge difference on the strength. And I was looking at that back piece. On that front one, wherever it attaches to the frame, I'll probably be able to put some very similar gussets all around the frame to strengthen that piece up. And the one in the back, I may actually find a way to put a second tube coming off of the truck frame and attach to that first tube somewhere, because that's going to be at such a steep angle, I'm probably not going to be able to put a gusset like I did on this from the bar to the frame, because it's at such an extreme angle. It'd be kind of weird to try to put one there. I don't know, I'm going to play with it and see. So my goal for today is I'm going to do a little bit of hand sanding on them, a little bit of finishing, and then we'll start priming them, and we'll get them painted today, and I think we're going to get these things finished. I sure hope so. I can't wait to get them all finished and see how they're going to weld on there. I made a decision yesterday on a certain way that I'm going to weld them on, and I would like for you guys to comment in the bottom and tell me if you think that this was a good idea or not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the long rectangular bar and I'm going to butt it straight up against the body seam. I'm not going to leave any gap right there. I think that's the best way to do it, and as of right now, that's how I'm going to do it. But leave me a comment. Tell me if you think that that was a good idea or not, and we'll have a discussion about it. Well, I really appreciate you guys tuning in for the second day of part 3. Hopefully this will be the final installment of this rock slider series. And then the next project is going to be skid plates. But you know, I've been thinking I could actually do a frame instead of a plate, almost like a cage, now that I have this tubing bender. And the air assist is working now.
I don't know why. My buddy came over yesterday and I was showing him how it didn't work, and I hit the button and it worked. So it's working now. I don't know why, but I'm grateful that it is. So I could make, instead of doing skid plates, I could make a cage that comes down and bends down and comes underneath the engine. And it wouldn't be solid like a skid plate, but it would just be tubes and be almost like a skid cage. And it wouldn't hold mud and debris, and it would protect it. I think that's what I may end up doing. I was looking under there, and a skid plate's not going to be easy. There's really nothing to screw it to, and it's going to be pretty tough to do that custom without being able to bend metal and see one ahead of time. So I think a cage would be easier, would be cooler looking, and I also think it may protect it. It wouldn't gather mud. So, I'm still debating that. You guys will see that in a future project. So, make sure that if you like the videos, make sure that you hit the bell and subscribe so that you can catch all my future plans and builds and projects. All right, guys, let's get started. I'm going to get these things out and do a little bit of hand sanding and finishing, and then I'm going to get them primed, and I'll be back once we get them done. And there we go, ready for paint. I'm going to be using this Rust-Oleum Self-Etching primer. I have had such good luck with this. I put this on the bumper before I painted it, and you almost couldn't grind it off. I mean, it really is a great product. It'll soaks into the metal, and it really seals it off well. So I'm going to be using this. I already had some, so had some left over from the bumper. That's what I'm going to be using. And I have the first coat of primer. You can see that's going to cover nicely. Now I didn't do the ends because we're going to be welding here. I got a little carried away and did a few of them. I'm going to have to grind a little bead there where I can weld around, which is probably a good idea anyway, to put a little bevel in this before I go to weld it. But you can see they're coming out really good. Alright guys, we're in the Super Duty headed to AutoZone. I want to go get something to paint the rock sliders with. I wasn't happy with what I had. The closest thing I had was a high performance flat black enamel. And it said it was really good for chips and cracks, but I only had about 2 half full cans. And I don't want to get halfway through and then run out of that and have to go get something else. That way I have something fresh that's designed for automotive use. And I think they have some really good stuff there. So let me run here into AutoZone and we'll be right back. Alright, I'm just leaving AutoZone. I decided to go with this VHT roll bar chassis paint. It looks like that it's going to be pretty good. It says that it's very chip resistant. I tell you what though guys, I was reading the directions on that, and I completely forgot. It reminded me, I completely forgot to wipe those down with prep spray before I put the primer on them. I don't know what I was thinking. I was in such a hurry. I have the prep spray there. It's so important that you do that before you spray paint, to put prep spray and to get all the wax and grease and oil off of them. It's too late now, and it was bare metal, so it's probably going to be okay. I just really wish that I would have done that. Just got in a hurry and I missed a step, and it's so important though, if you're going to paint something, that you use that prep spray to get all that stuff off of it. It's too late now anyway, but we're going to try this VHT chassis paint and see how that works with them. I think it's going to work pretty good.
All right, here's the first 2 coats. Now, I was able to clamp this to where the only thing that I can't paint is the inside of this, which is already primed. So that's not going to matter because that's going right against the frame and getting welded. So as long as it's primed, the back of that metal is fine. And that way I was able to paint the entire rest of the sliders without having to stop and let them dry and turn them over. So I'm going to let that dry and put a final coat. Now it took 1 whole can to do those 2 coats, so that paint doesn't last long, but I think I'm going to be fine. If I can keep the bugs out of it, I should be good. Alright, let me give you guys an update where we're at. So what I've done is I've got it pressed up against the body here, and I've got it clamped to the frame. And so you can see we're all the way up here, but there's a little gap right here that's not all the way up, but I haven't welded this yet. So my plan is I'm going to go ahead and weld this middle and get it all sucked in how I want it, and then I will move to the back and to the front and weld them. But I'm going to tack this, I'm actually going to weld this whole thing first, and then I'm going to jack the truck up and take the wheels off where I can get to these other sides, the front and the back a little bit better. So anyway, that's what I got in the middle, and you can see it fits really nicely in there. Looking really good. I'm gonna go ahead and weld this middle up, and you guys can see right here what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look really nice, and you can see right here where I'll be welding the front. And then if we come over here to the back, you can see right in there where I'll be welding the back. But I'm going to do the middle first, so I'm going to get that all welded up, and then we'll do the front and the back. If you're going to weld on your truck frame, unhook the battery completely and try to put your ground and your weld as close together as possible. If you put your ground on the front and you're welding towards the back, you're running that electrical current through all your electronics. I try to put my ground right next to my weld whenever I'm welding on the frame of my truck. Back to the long sleeves. Hey, let me show you guys this though. I just decided yesterday I was going to tack a few spots before I put my long sleeves on, not thinking it was going to be a big deal. I got flash burn. You see that right there? That was from a few tacks. That wasn't a lot of welding. I mean, that was a few spots. It doesn't take long on bare skin to get flash burn. And of course we threw a breaker. Never fails with this thing. I'm going to end up bringing this one back to, I'm just trying to finish this project before I bring it back. I'm going to make them give me another one. That'll be my third one. I might see if they'll give me credit for this one and do an upgrade on a nicer one with an argon tank. I don't know if they will or not. They should. Maybe there's some kind of welder lemon law or something. I don't know. I can usually tell if it's going to throw the breaker because all I have to do is pull the trigger. I'm going to set up a fan to blow away some of those fumes. because that's burning paint that's making that smoke. I ground it back, but it still gets hot enough that it smokes a little bit. And speaking of that, guys, you always want to take care of yourselves in the way of fumes. You notice earlier I had my mask on even when I was outside spray painting. And you know, as guys, we sometimes don't want to take the time to mess with that, but you know, some of you may not know this, but my day job is I'm a wellness physician and a chiropractor, and I do a lot of work with people that have overload of toxins and pollutants in their body. And it creates everything from cancer to weight gain to autoimmune disorders. And so you always want to take care of your internal health when you're doing stuff like this. You know, I know a lot of mechanics that spray the brake clean and all that stuff all the time. They have autoimmune disorders and they don't ever connect the two, but it's absolutely connected. You want to take good care of yourself on the inside and try not to breathe fumes. And doing mechanic work like this, it's going to happen. I mean, you're going to breathe dust and you're going to breathe fumes, but if you can minimize it and try to take care of yourself cellular-wise, internal-wise, it's always a very, very smart thing to do. And even trying to minimize it, you're still going to get some of it. This is just a chemical-based thing that we do working on vehicles and fumes and dust. And so the better you can minimize it, the better. So just a little tip there. Always take care of yourself, guys. Take time to put on your respirator. Blow those fumes out. Man, I was looking on the Lincoln website the other day, and this guy had this welding table set up, and he had one of those big fume machines that has the big hose that comes down. I want one of those so bad. I looked at them, they're like $3,000. But how cool would that be to have one of those Lincoln vacuum things that sucks the smoke out while you're welding? Be an awesome thing to have. So maybe someday when I get a shop. All right, let's finish welding up. I am very happy with that weld there, ladies and gentlemen. All the way down, underneath. And on the other side. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. That welded in a little bit better than I had thought it was going to. I got a fairly decent weld. I know I caught both pieces of the metal, got plenty of penetration. Might not be the prettiest, but it's the best I could do. So, all right, I'm gonna weld up the front and the back, and I'll show you what we got. Now I have one jack stand already, so I didn't pull this off and then put the jack stand on. It's just a backup. All right, there's the first one. The front is welded on, painted, primed, ready to put the tire back on and move on. And you can see down the side how good that looks. All right, as soon as I get this tire back on, we'll go to the middle one. Finish it up. No, I'm not running my lug nuts down with this. I'm just snugging them up, and I'm going to use my torque wrench to properly torque them later. You should always do the same. I'm torquing these at 100. The manual calls for 89, but I've always had good luck with 100. Star pattern. Hadn't had a wheel fall off yet. So you can see right here where I have to weld this one. The hard part's going to be getting back up in here and doing the back side of this. Not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but it really needs to be welded all the way around for sure. And I don't know, I may have to stick my arm up the back and just do my best with it in there. It's not going to be easy. All right, let me see what I can do with this and I'll be right back. All right. Now the weld has cooled. And this time I am going to remember my prep spray. Can't believe I forgot to coat these things with prep spray earlier. Oh well, you get in a hurry, forget stuff. Looks like that's on there pretty good though. And there's the middle one. The first one is all finished. All right, guys, I just got to go in and rest for a little while and rehydrate. Watch this. No joke. That's how sweaty I am. Yeah, I know it's gross. I'll be back out after a while. All right, we're back at it today. It's Sunday afternoon, and I got my lens unfogged, finally. My goal for today is to finish this passenger side rock slider, get it welded on, and be done with this project. Let me show you guys what I found out yesterday. As I was fitting this rock slider yesterday, what was happening is this would not go completely against the frame because the front post was just a little bit long, and by my measurement it was about 1/4 of an inch. And then on this back side back here, the outside edge of this right here could be shaved off just slightly to complete the back post being able to touch the frame there. So what I decided to do is I went ahead and pulled it back off. And I'm going to take my grinder and shave this down. Now, as you'll see, this is angled this way for the frame. So what I did was I took 1/4 of an inch all the way around so that my angle will remain. All right, that looks pretty good. I was able to keep my angle in there. And I stopped a little bit short because I'd rather be it a little long than a little short. You know, I can always bring it off and grind a little bit more if I have to, but if I get that thing too short, it'll be a real pain. So then I'm going to come over here and grind this other edge down. All right, looking at my mark, that should be good. And we're going to try it, see what we got. Okay, the front is exactly where it needs to be. As I come towards the back, it is still sticking out quite a bit. So I need to take some more off the back. I'm going to take my time and get it perfect. I'm not just going to make it work. I'm going to get it good. So I'm going to go ahead and take it back off, and I'm going to grind that extreme angle one in the back a little bit more. Ooh, I'm glad I looked. There's a brake line in the way. I don't want to smash that. Ooh, man. Very careful right here. There we go. Yeah, I'm off of it. All right. That is its final location. Done. This one took a lot more fitting than the other side did. For some reason, I got my measurements just a little different on this middle post. From the front and the end, I had to grind some of them off, but it looks like it's lined up pretty straight and right where it's supposed to be. All right, it's time to start welding with a clean welding shirt. You guys saw at the end of yesterday, I wrung the sweat out of this thing. It was disgusting. So, it's clean, and we're ready to put some welds in. So I'm going to get the welder all set up and get everything ready to go, and we'll be right back. All right, we're almost ready to start welding. One thing I did think of, though, one of my habits is as I break my welding wire off, I don't like throwing them on the ground because it could get in a tire. I know it's pretty thin and it might not, but if it hits it just right, it could give me a slow leak. So my habit is that when I break that off, I put it in my pocket of my shirt right here so that I can throw them away later. I left them in there when I threw it in Kate's washing machine yesterday, and they're not there now. So I may be buying a new washing machine before too long. I don't know, we'll see. I better remember today to take them out. I'm so disappointed right now. Let me show you what happened. Look at that. I didn't think it was going to get that hot right there to cause a fire in my wiring to my lights. And it did. That's disappointing. I thought for sure I had that plastic far enough out of the way that it wasn't going to melt it, but it did. I just thought I had the wire far enough away from the heat that it wouldn't do that. I figured that plastic wiring loom was a little bit heat resistant. The thing went up like a match. It could have been worse. It just basically burned the wiring loom, and it didn't burn through any of my wires. I'm still going to replace all the wires anyway, but if it would have, the bad part would have been, I don't know, that's all the wires coming in from my bumper that run my lights. All the ones from the top, all the power coming in from the battery. If it would have burned all the way through, I wouldn't have known which wire went to which light, because there's a bundle. There's a bunch of red, there's a bunch of black. So that would have been much harder to figure out. As it is right now, I only have one cut wire, and that's because I was trying to cut the melted wiring loom and I accidentally snipped one. But that's just one red and one black, so I can repair that red to red, black to black, and I'll know where that goes to. And then the other ones that melted the insulation on the wire, I can replace those one at a time. Red, cut it, replace that one, next one, next one. So at least I won't have to figure that out. Man, that was scary though. I put my tack on and I pull my hood up and the wiring's just on fire. I got it finished welded. What I ended up doing was taking my extra pair of welding gloves and packing around it really, really well so the leather would insulate it. And I cut the tie straps and pushed it as far away as I could. I even told you guys I had to move that wiring loom, and I thought I did. I just didn't quite move it far enough away. I had it about 4 inches away, but it was above it. That was the problem. Heat rises. That heat went up and just melted it, caught it on fire. So I pulled it to the side, packed my old welding gloves around it, and was able to weld it. It's just one more thing to fix, I guess, another project. So I got that one welded. Now all I have to do is the front and the back, and we're good to go. I'm back in a good mood again. Oh well. I had another thought about burning that wiring loom that I wanted to go through with you guys. You know, when something like that happens, you're better off just stepping back, taking some deep breaths, and seeing what you have. I hastily started cutting that plastic away and ended up snipping 2 wires just because I was trying to hurry and get that melted plastic off of there. The damage was done. There's really no reason to do that. I should have taken my time, stepped back, thought about it, assessed the situation, and then did what I needed to do with it. And I didn't do that. I hastily just started trying to, I gotta get this melted plastic off of here, and ended up making it a little worse. Now I was probably gonna splice that wire anyway. It could have been worse. Just the point, when something bad like that happens, walk away, think about it, assess the situation, go back with a calm head, and see what you need to do in order to fix the situation. I'm telling you all that, but I should have done that, right? All right, we'll be right back. And that's what we're welding right there. So I'm going to get this one welded up, and then we'll start fixing our wiring. All right, that weld turned out really good. All right, now I'm going to lay down and get the bottom half. The rock sliders are done. It doesn't feel like as much of a celebration as I had hoped because of that wiring. Just gonna have to patch it, man. That's all it is. You know, I was hoping to be jumping up and down, celebrating, checking out my awesome rock sliders right now, and I am. I'm super pleased with them. Kind of disappointed about that wiring. Just gotta fix it. No big deal, all right? I have everything I need here to fix it, so I'm gonna get it fixed. But anyway, the rock sliders are finished. I'm gonna fix that wiring and then pull it outside if this rain holds off, and we'll look at them out in the sunlight. So let me get my soldering equipment out, and I don't need this welding shirt anymore. And I'm going to get that going, and I'm going to show you guys how to do some soldering too. So let me get everything set up, and we'll be right back. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to bring this one back red to red, and then we'll bring this one back black to black, and then we'll fix the burn ones after that. Now, I'm sorry about the fan noise, but I like to use a lead solder. And lead will mess your system up. Come on, I don't have a lot of wire to mess with. I need some room here. Alright, now step number one is to make sure that we put our heat shrink on there. So I sure don't have room to do this twice. Let's see. So we'll make sure we get our heat shrink on there. First, I'm going to peel more plastic back than that. That's just still not quite enough. Now this is no good like this. That one's a piece of crap right there is taking some of the copper wiring out of it. And that is the one thing you don't want to do, is to cut some of your copper strands out, because then you've just downgraded your wire. So you want to make sure that you try to keep every copper strand that you can. So I'm going to use these. And we'll try this again. I couldn't be in a worse position to be trying to do this in. Take your time making decisions when you do stuff like this. I hastily started cutting this away, and I ended up messing this up worse. Take your time making decisions. That's funny. Our pastor was telling a story about that at church this morning. He said a new CEO took over a company. Said there was a struggling company, and they hired this military general CEO. And he walked in the first day, and they had one of the employees was sitting there with his hands in his pockets with a hoodie on, leaned against the wall, looking like he didn't give a care in the world. And so the new CEO walks up and says, "You, what do you make a week?" And he said, "Oh, $300. He pulled $1,200 out of his pocket and handed it to him. He said, "Now you, get out of here with that work ethic." And then he called all of his other employees over there, and he said, "Y'all see now I mean business?" And then he asked them, "Who was that anyway?" And they said, "That was the pizza delivery man." So hasty decisions will get you in trouble. Alright, I'm gonna have to do this another way. That's not holding like that. So the other way to do it is to twist your wires all the way together. And then fold them back over themselves. There we go. Now we got something. Man, I hate messing my wiring. I was so proud of my wiring job. Now I'll just have to be proud of my repair job, huh? Now this is lead solder. So like I said, you do not want to mess with it. You do not want to breathe this. You have to touch your tip a little bit with the solder. And make sure that your solder gets sucked into your wiring to make a strong joint. Just like that. There it is, right there. That's my strong solder joint right there. Now I'm going to slide my heat shrink up. We'll use our heat gun. All right, let's hook the battery back up. Well, I'm sitting here after a nice hot shower, sipping on a glass of iced tea out of my favorite Yeti. I just pulled the Trooper out in the rain, and I'm sitting here staring at my rock sliders. And they look pretty darn good. Let's go check them out. Man, you can see how clean that is under there. And they really just kind of blend right into the background. And then we go around here to the other side. You can see exactly the same. Looking good. You can see how good they turned out. Well, it's been so long since I've driven the Trooper. I'm going to grab my iced tea, grab my Skull, and I'm going for a ride. Thanks for joining me, guys. I really appreciate you tuning into this rock slider series. We're just getting started. I'm going to do the cage underneath. What I decided to do, instead of doing plate metal for skid plates, I think I'm going to do that bar stock, that round bar, that round tubing. I'm going to do a full cage underneath. That way it's open and it can't hold mud in there, but at the same time, it'll be a cage protecting that motor. And the way that it's shaped in there, I think that's going to be a lot better to do it that way anyway. Thanks for joining me on this series. Don't forget, if you hit the bell, you'll get all my future videos. We got a lot of things to do in the future. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.